Hello, I'm here on a fine Kentucky afternoon here in the middle of the bluegrass, and it's a nice spring day. I'm enjoying myself, and of course, as a Kentucky Colonel, I'm going to raise a toast to the audience of I Smell Sheep, who I am doing this vlog for. So I'll get a sip before we get started. Good Kentucky bourbon. And no, Kentucky Colonels do not get discounts on Kentucky Fried Chicken. I get asked that all the time as far as the world of Kentucky Colonels. But I was asked by Sharon of I Smell Sheep to talk a little bit about Raven Collar. Of course, that is the big two-handed bearded axe carried by Ragnar Stormbringer, the star of Depths of Night and a new group of novellas that I have been getting ready to come out. Of course, Depths of Night is out, and very shortly, When the Cold Breathes. And Ravencollar is named such. Well, I can't tell you everything because that would be a little bit of a spoiler. I actually plan to write a duology to tell you how Ragnar got the Stormbringer moniker, and also about how the name he got into possession of his axe, and fully why it's called Ravencollar. But he is a Norse-inspired character. It takes place in a world that is fantastical. It's not exactly our world, but there are cultures that are inspired by cultures in our world, and his is Norse-inspired. And so, of course, with the Norse, when they had battles afterwards, of course, with the, it gets a little grisly here, but the corpses were often fed upon by ravens and wolves. And so, of course, ravens and wolves were always around battlefields, and over time came to be associated with war, and obviously all the things that go with that, courage, fighting, things like that, more the strong imagery. And so, the name Ravencollar, think about it, with an axe, it's definitely, it's calling, the death of Ragnar's enemies. And so that is a little bit about the name of Ravencollar and what it means, but I am going to be telling that full story of how the axe, is made, given to him, and it gets a little bit into, weapons and fantasy, because I think that when you name weapons, it brings it as a bit of a character into the book. Also, naming a weapon, you give it a legacy, and often the weapon reflects the person that wields it. I mean, if you think of some popular ones like Sting, of course, carried by Bilbo in The Hobbit, and it's a shorter blade that would fit a Hobbit-sized character. It fits Bilbo's personality. It's not a massive sword like like one of the other warriors would carry. Then you've got of course the shards of Narsil that were broken when things were going badly for humans in an older age of Middle Earth, and then when it's reforged and becomes Anduril for Aragorn, later it sort of represents the rebirth of humans. So weapons often take on the characteristics of those who wield them. They become part of the story. They also carry a legacy. So if you have a story that carries on for maybe generations, or a series that goes down, a time scale, the weapon can actually have a legacy and be passed down as well. So as far as fantasy weapons, I mean, they're a lot of fun, and giving them a name brings them into the story, gives them personality, it binds them to the person wielding them, it gives them a legacy. I mean, there's a whole lot of things you can do with them as a writer, and certainly, there's tons and tons of examples, and, I'd be remiss if I did not mention the famous Excalibur of mythology. So it's a lot of fun to work with fantasy weapons, and I certainly, am going to be doing a lot with Ravencollar. Definitely gets mentioned in every story. It's definitely associated with Ragnar. It fits his fighting style well. It's not the elegant sword. He's not the elegant sword fighter. I mean, he's a very much a primal force. So the two-handed bearded axe fits him very well. He's there's nothing gracious or smooth about how he goes about his business. So yeah, the axe fits him just great, and that, without getting too gory, I mean, obviously it leaves behind a trail of his enemies and calls ravens. So yeah, hence Ravencollar. So hopefully that answers Sharon's question a little bit about the axe and about the use of names of weapons in fantasy. And I definitely look forward to coming back to I Smell Sheep. Love y'all. You guys are great, and have definitely been an audience with me for a long time in my career, and we will see you hopefully pretty soon. Take care.